Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayana Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambattvamanusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Maruta Stunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadhakramo Parishadai Rayanti Yam Samada Dhyanavasthita Tadgatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantanna Vidussura Suraganaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Let us read the verses. Amanitvamadam bhitvam
Amanitvamadam bhitvam
Ahimsa kshanti rajavam
Ahimsa kshanti rajavam
Acharyopasanam shaucham
Acharyopasanam shaucham
Sthairyamaatma vinigraha
Sthairyamaatma vinigraha
Indriyartheshu vairagyam
Indriyartheshu vairagyam
Anahankara evacha
Anahankara evacha
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi
Dukkha doshan darshanam
Dukkha doshanu darshanam
Asaktiranabhishvangaha
Asaktiranabhishvangaha
Puttradara grihadishu
Puttradara grihadishu
Nityam cha samachittatvam
Nityam cha samachittatvam
Ishtanishtopapatishu
Ishtanishtopapatishu
Mayi chananya yogena
Mayi chananya yogena
Bhaktiravyabhicharini
Bhaktiravyabhicharini
Vivikta विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
विविक्तदेशसेवित्वम्
अरतिर्जनसंसदि
अरतिर्जनसंसदि
अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
अध्यात्मज्ञाननित्यत्वम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
तत्त्वज्ञानार्थदर्शनम्
एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम्
एतज्ज्ञानमिति प्रोक्तम्
अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा
अज्ञानं यदतोऽन्यथा
अमानित्वम् अदम्भित्वम् अहिंसा शान्तिः आर्जवम् आचार्योपासनम् शौचम्. These values we discussed in the second line of the first verse. We continue the next one. Stairyam. Stairyam means steadfastness. Commitment to one's goal. Stairyam, sthirata. Dhrita, firmness. Steadfastness, commitment to one's goal. Commitment to whatever one is undertaken. The context here is the self-knowledge. The stairyam or steadfastness is the steadfastness or commitment to the self-knowledge. The reason why this value of steadfastness is stated here is because there are obstacles in our life, obstacles to whatever it is that we want to do. Particularly when you undertake an auspicious task, they say there are always more obstacles. Shreyamsi bahu vignani. Thus it is possible that even the pursuit of self-knowledge, there are going to be obstacles. What is meant by stairyam or steadfastness is not to submit to these obstacles. That one should exercise one's commitment, one's firmness to overcome the obstacles and continue on the path of the objective that one has chosen, namely self-knowledge. What kind of obstacles can come? Obstacles can be from three sources. Adhyatmika, Adibhautika, Adidaivika. Adhyatmika, the obstacles coming from one's own self. One's body can become an obstacle, one's mind can become an obstacle. Adibhautika, obstacles coming from the surrounding elemental world. And Adidevika, obstacles from the divine sources or the forces which are not under my control. Yoga Shastra talks about these obstacles. Obstacles coming from one's own self. The body can become an obstacle. Vyadhi means a disease can become an obstacle. Sthana, inability can become an obstacle. Samshaya, doubt can be an obstacle. Pramada, inadvertence can be an obstacle. Alasyam, laziness can be an obstacle. So these are the obstacles originating from one's own self. And the idea is that one does not submit to the obstacles. There is a verse in Sanskrit which says, Prarabhyate na khalu vigna bhayena nichehi. The lowest kind of people are those who do not even commence an undertaking for fear of obstacles. What will happen when obstacles come? They don't even begin. Prarabhya vigna vihata viramanti madhyaha. The middling kind of people are those who begin something all right, but then give up when an obstacle comes. Vignehi punah punarapi pratihanyamanaha prarabdham chottamaguna na parityajanti. The best ones, the excellent ones are those who, even though attacked by obstacles again and again, do not give up what they have undertaken. So sometimes an obstacle is, or very often, is that we feel that we are not making progress. Swamiji, I am trying hard but not making progress. So there is a discouragement, and this discouragement also can become an obstacle. Sometimes pramada means inadvertence, doing one thing instead of other, whereas one has the object of pursuit of self-knowledge, and that requires shravanam, mananam, listening to teachers, study of the scriptures. Sometimes lack of Sanskrit language also can be an obstacle. Then whenever one finds that these things are obstacles or shortcomings, one should be willing to overcome them. Sometimes there is a doubt, I don't think I can do that, it is too difficult for me. One has to strive again and again to overcome this kind of doubts about oneself. And just stadium, steadfastness in the pursuit of one's goal in the face of the obstacles that can come from within and without also. Swamiji, the time when I started attending classes, very often when I am ready to go to class, there is a guest. So formally I guess we welcome the guests, and now the very guests are looked upon as obstacles, And so when obstacles come from sources that are not in my control, what can I do? Prayer. So seeking the favor of Ishvara, with prayer, seeking the favor of Lord, that please give me the strength to overcome the obstacles. Give me the commitment. Also, a value of self-knowledge must be recognized. How important it is in my life. A recognition that all my unhappiness, it all comes ultimately from ignorance. Lord Krishna says, Ashochan anushocastvam. Here Arjuna, you are grieving for that which does not deserve to be grieved for. Meaning that really there is no reason for sadness in life, because you are embodiment, you are of the nature of Ananda, you are the nature of wholeness and fullness in the world. There is no reason why you should be sad or unhappy. What makes me sad? The ignorance. Ignorance creates variety of complexes in me, and that is why I become unhappy. So, this recognition of this basic thing in life, that whatever unhappiness I have, whatever sadness I have, whatever grief I have, the world, I generally think that the world is the cause of my sadness. Swami, this person is the cause of my sadness, that situation is cause of my sadness, this event is the cause of my sadness. But really, nothing need to cause sadness unless I cooperate with it. And therefore, it is up to me to take them objectively, and if I abide in my own nature, nothing can make me sad. If I abide in the fact that I am Ananda or I am wholeness, regardless of what happens, no sadness can come to me. Therefore, recognition of this fact that all problems in life are due to ignorance. A situation becomes a problem only because I allow it to do so, and that is because of my ignorance of my own self. If I knew what my true nature is, then there is no question of any unhappiness or sadness. And what can dispel ignorance is knowledge. Therefore, knowledge of self is the solution of all problems. If that is there is no problem. It is not there, everything is a problem. Our Swami used to say, you are the problem and you are the solution. The ignorant you is a problem, the enlightened you is a solution. He used to say that psychology cannot solve the problem and Vedanta does not see the problem. Psychology cannot solve any problem and Vedanta does not see any problem. The problems are there only because of ignorance. If this is very clear to me, then my priorities will become clear. Then knowledge will become the most important thing to me. The reason why other things create obstacles is because my priorities are not very clear. And therefore the mind gets distracted into many other things. Because I have not recognized that really the important thing is the pursuit of knowledge. So this, for stadium, for commitment, it is important that I should recognize the importance of or the unavoidability of self-knowledge. If this is so, then for knowledge what should I do? Shravanam, listening. And nowadays the listening can take place with all CDs and DVDs, etc. So you don't even need a live guru before you. So formerly that was an obstacle. Swami, now we don't have anybody to teach us, but now we have so many sources available. So listening, studying, meditating, contemplating. Also, a commitment to developing our qualification of fitness. Vedanta says that Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha. Shama means the tranquility of the mind, Dama means the control over the self, Uparama the avoidance of the mind, Titiksha the forbearance. So these are the values, or amanitvam, adambitvam, what we are discussing. That commitment to knowledge also means commitment to cultivating these values. Because as we discussed on the very first day, knowledge requires a certain disposition of mind. That disposition of mind is called Shuddhantahkaranam, or purity of mind. And that purity is gained by cultivating these values. Because as you say, when I want to cultivate a given value, I have to give up the opposite of that. For example, for cultivating the value of ahimsa or non-violence, I must overcome my impulse of anger, etc., which cause violence. For the value of arjavam, the straightforwardness, honesty, truthfulness, I have to overcome my impulse of greed. So practicing these values require me to subdue my negative impulses, and that way I gain a victory over them. A constant attempt to gain that inner victory. Our life, in life, what battle is there? There is no battle with the external world, battle is going on within my own mind. In my own mind only, devatas and asuras, gods and demons are there. The divine tendencies and the demoniac tendencies are there, and a constant battle is going on between them. Therefore, a commitment to cultivate these values of divine tendencies, a commitment to overcome the opposite, namely the impulses or the demoniac tendencies of kama, krodha, lobha, lust, anger, greed, etc. A commitment to overcome them. All of this is a part of the pursuit of knowledge. And therefore, this must become my greatest first priority. Everything else is to be done because I am required to do my duty. That's okay. Other things may have place in my life, but this becomes the most important thing to me. The greater the importance I understand, more becomes a commitment. So stairyam, a steadfastness or commitment to the pursuit of knowledge. Then it says, Atma Vinigraha, control of the self. Atma means self. Vinigraha means restrain, restraining the self. Here, self means the mind. The word self has many meanings, but in this case, self means the mind. A restraining of the mind, a control of the mind. So what do we mean by control of the mind? That the mind should become my friend. Control of the mind or mastery over the mind is when the mind becomes my friend. What's the way of doing it? What we are discussing? Cultivating these values. Cultivating every value requires overcoming a given impulse, and thus what creates a lack of control is, in my mind, is number one, impulsiveness of the mind. Impulsive thinking. I react out of anger, out of jealousy, out of greed. So these impulses are there. Whenever an impulse takes over my mind, my behavior becomes impulsive. When the mind is impulsive, it is not in my control, it is in the control of the impulse. Anger is such an impulse, for example. So Atma Vinigraha, control of the mind, meaning that slowly and slowly subduing this impulse of anger. The most common thing we are taking here. Very often people ask this question, Swami, how to deal with anger? Our answer is, anger is an effect. It has a certain cause. An effect goes when the cause is removed. We struggle with anger, but we do not realize that anger has its root in something else. What gives rise to anger? Lord Krishna says, Kamesha, Krodesha. This kama or the desire is the cause of anger. So let us translate word kama not just as a desire, but a demand or an expectation. A failed demand or a failed expectation results into anger. So from now on, whenever we get angry, when the mind has become quiet, after the impulse of anger has gone away, the mind has become quiet, we can look into that event and ask ourselves, what caused that anger? We will find that behind that there is always some expectation or some demand. We are very demanding people. We make demands upon ourselves and we make demands upon the outside world. Person makes demand from the family, from the children, from the spouse, and how they should be, what they should do, what they should not do. These demands or expectations, when it is not satisfied, then it turns into anger. So behind anger, there is a demand or expectation. Therefore, to overcome the anger, learn what demands we have and ask ourselves, can I let go this demand? Can I drop this expectation? Can I drop this demand? Particularly when we are relating to other human beings. In our relationship, usually there is an expectation from the person with whom I am relating. And those expectations cause disappointments, they cause frustration, they cause anger. Therefore, the preparedness to let go of expectations or demands from others, which requires me to accept other people as they are, as we discussed yesterday. So Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Lord Krishna identifies these three impulses. Kama, the tendency to indulge. We translate Kama as the tendency to indulge. Krodha as anger, Lobha as greed. We may have told you this story in the past. I'll repeat that story again. The story told in one of the Upanishads. That creator Prajapati has three kinds of progenitors. Deva, Devata, Danava, Manava. Devata, the gods who live in heaven and whose life is full of pleasures. Danava, the demons, they live in the nether world whose life is characterized by fighting and anger and cruelty. And Manava, who live on this earth, whose life is characterized mainly by greed. So anyway, these three are representatives. Deva, Danava, Manava. Kama, Krodha and Lobha. So these three go to Prajapati once upon a time. And they live there for a period of time serving the Guru. At one time, Prajapati, the Guru, invites the Devatas, the gods, and asks them, what's the purpose for which you have come here? The Devatas say that, sir, you have come here seeking some upadesha, some teaching from you which we can practice in our day-to-day life. Tell us something that you can practice in our day-to-day life. Prajapati said, Da. Just one letter, Da. And asked this Devatas, the gods, hey, did you hear what I said? Yes, sir, Da. You know what it means? Yes, Dhamyata, have self-control. You're right, because our life is characterized by indulgence. See, enjoying pleasures is not a problem. They say, innocent pleasures in moderation. This is the sutra. Innocent pleasures in moderation is fine. As long as I am enjoying something, so long it is fine. When that something starts enjoying me, then that's a problem. In the beginning, it is I who drinks tea. In course of time, I get addicted to tea, and then it is tea that is drinking me and not I drink, because if I do not get my cup of tea at 6:30 in the morning, I become miserable. That means that it is tea that is controlling me. Thus in life, many things are controlling us. Swamiji, ice cream is my weakness. Sweets are my weakness. That means what? I cannot control myself when it comes to ice cream, when it comes to sweets, when it comes to certain things. They decide how much I consume and not I decide. So this tendency to indulge, this is called kama. We will translate kama in this way. Not a simple desire, but this kind of a craving is called kama. So, how do you control the impulse of kama or craving? Dhamyata, self-control. Meaning that in all your enjoyments, you draw boundaries. That I will enjoy ice cream, all right, once a week. That too, one plate at a time. Enjoy pizza, all right, once in 2 weeks. Enjoy television, all right, half an hour a day. Yes, I'm throwing numbers. But we can decide, you can decide yourself. And draw the line. Thus, draw the lines of boundaries. Then I am in control of what I am enjoying and not the object of enjoyment. This is how slowly we get over the impulse of kama or the tendency to indulge, the craving to indulge. The next went the demons. What can I do for you? Sir, give us the same thing, give us the teaching, tell us something which can be useful to us in our day-to-day life. Prajapati repeated the same letter. Asked the demons, did you hear what I said? Yes sir, you said the. You know what it means? Yes, dayadhvam. Have daya, have kindness, have compassion. Is it right? Because our nature is characterized by cruelty and by anger. So anger or krodha, that impulse can be controlled by deliberately invoking compassion. Daya. Have mercy. Somebody has done something and you are angry at that person. Anger brings about violence. Physical violence or violence by words, violence by thoughts. We should know that violence or himsa hurts me. Therefore, a value for overcoming the impulse of anger. When you see the anger arising in the mind, remind yourself, compassion, 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 compassion. Mercy. Have mercy on this person. Have compassion on the person. Oh, he's done this. Doesn't matter. Just let go. Forgive the person. And anger takes a little while to build up, you know. Any impulse starts with one thought, and the thoughts build up, the impulse also builds up. So if we are alert enough, we can see this anger arising in our minds. Anger is arising. Remind immediately daya, compassion, mercy, kindness, forgiveness. And that will dilute the impulse of anger. Third, when the human beings, they also were told the same thing, the means datta, be generous, give, share. Because human being is characterized by greed. Greed means not being satisfied with what one has. Or greed means not being able to part with what one has. Inability to give. You know, our Swami talks about dhanena adanam tara. Setumstara, setumstara, setumstara. The Samveda says, overcome the setums, overcome these barriers. Lack of Shraddha is one barrier. The adanam, inability to give, is a barrier. Anger is a barrier. So danam overcomes the barrier. The mind does not want to part with something. Mind does not want to share. Mind does not want to give, wants to hold on to something. Deliberately make the mind give, share, danam. So this impulse of greed can be dealt with by number one, contentment with what I have, and also a deliberate effort to share what I have. So the kama, krodha, lobha, indulgence, anger, greed. The kama, indulgence. The means what? Damyata, self-control, have boundaries. The krodha, for that the is daya, have mercy, have compassion on the person who has hurt you, who has given you the reason for anger. Have been merciful to that person. Be kind or compassionate to that person. And the greed, and the impulse of greed, the share, give, to those who are more needy than you are. So, Atma Vinigraha, restraining the self, controlling the self, meaning controlling his impulses, because when the mind is overcome by one of these impulses, it is not in my control. Therefore, to control the mind, I must slowly subdue these impulses with a deliberate effort. So, Atma Vinigraha, the control of the mind, is a very important thing. Because then only, when the mind is under control of the impulses, it is not in my control. Doesn't do what I want it to do. I tell my mind, say Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram, Om Namah Shivaya. It does whatever it wants. So thus, overcoming the impulses. Another thing is mechanicalness. One is impulsive thinking, other is mechanical thinking. Mind keeps on meandering and just keeps on, a lot of things we do mechanically. We turn on the shower, mechanically the shower is over. Mechanically I put on my clothes. Mechanically I do many things where my attention is not there. Because we have been doing those things every day ever, we do not see the need to pay any attention. But this habitual habit of yantrikata, mechanicalness, then spreads in other things, and then when I recite Om Namah Shivaya, is also done mechanically. Vishnu Sahasranama, mechanically. Hanuman Chalisa, mechanically. That mechanicalness extends in prayers also, in japa also, in puja also, it extends there. Therefore, the mastery or control of the mind also requires a control over the mechanicalness. Control over impulses and control over mechanicalness. How do we overcome mechanicalness? By being alert, by being conscious. They talk about the mindfulness. Be mindful in what I do. And this overcoming mechanicalness can be started with one organ, namely our tongue. Our tongue does two things. Number one, it talks. Number two, it eats. So mechanicalness can be overcome by being alert or vigilant. Alert while I am talking. That what I say must have the consent of my viveka or discrimination. That viveka buddhi, sense of discrimination, must be there in whatever I say. We talked about it yesterday. That a commitment that my words do not hurt others. Satyam, that if I choose to speak, then I speak truth. You can choose not to speak. If you think that you cannot speak truth, you have a choice not to speak. If you choose to speak, then a commitment to speaking truth. Speaking truth also in a pleasant manner, and only if it is necessary. If we have this commitment about our speech, you will find that 50, 70, 80% of talking gets eliminated, because a lot of things we say even though not necessary, a lot of things we say which are not always right, a lot of things we say which are hurtful to others, a lot of things we say in a bitter manner. Thus, exercising control over speech, being alert while speaking and alert while eating, that we just talked about. So thus, in our activities, alertness, mindfulness. This is how we can overcome the mechanicalness of the mind. For overcoming mechanicalness, japa or repeating holy name is a very useful thing. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. The mind again has a tendency to repeat mechanically, alertly I repeat. I become alert or aware about Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. I alertly and consciously repeat that. So this japa can be very helpful in developing that alertness or mindfulness. So thus, Atma Vinigraha, the control over the self, mastery over the self, will require us to overcome this impulsiveness as well as mechanicalness. That is how we have taken care of the one verse, But most important things are already done, don't worry, So, let us go to the second verse. Let us recite that second verse. Indriyartheshu vairagyam,
Indriyartheshu vairagyam,
anahankara evacha,
Anahankara evacha,
janma mrityu jara vyadhi,
Janma mrityu jara vyadhi,
dukkha doshanu darshanam,
Dukkha doshanu darshanam,
Indriyartheshu vairagyam. Vairagyam, dispassion. Raga and dvesha are the passions or impulses. So different passions or impulses, I should say. Sometimes passion is presented as a desirable quality, which means commitment. That passion there is commitment. But here by passion are meant the impulses. Raga, attachment, is an impulse. Dvesha, aversion, is an impulse. So raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. What is attachment? What is raga? Raga is a dependence upon something for the happiness of my mind. When I become dependent on something or somebody for my happiness and security, that I feel good only in presence of that, and in absence I feel bad, I feel unhappy. That means that I become dependent upon somebody or something for my happiness. This is called raga, attachment. Attachment always involves a dependence. We should distinguish between love and attachment. People say, Swamiji, there is going to be attachment for my family members. Well, love is fine. Attachment is when that love is accompanied with expectation of return of my love. Meaning that when I expect a returned favor, that is what pollutes our love. Love is beautiful and all of us have love. But when love is accompanied with expectation, what did you do for me? This is what I have done for you. What did you do for me? Even if we don't say it loudly, in the mind we do expect. So that part is attachment. So attachment is dependence upon somebody or something for the well-being of my mind, for happiness of myself. That is called attachment. When I cannot do without something. In absence of which I have a sense of loss. That is called attachment, when I cannot do without something. Aversion is just the opposite. When I cannot stand something. The presence of which makes me unhappy. Absence of which makes me happy. So attachment and aversion. We will find that most of our relationships or interactions, I should say, are accompanied or originating from attachment and aversion. Both of these are obstacles to the peace of mind or tranquility of the mind. Raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion, both of them keep my mind extrovert, keep my mind directed towards the objects of attachment and aversion. So these are great obstacles to my meditation, for example. What is an obstacle to the steadiness of my mind or concentration of mind? Attachment and aversion. Attachment draws away my mind to something that I am attached to, and aversion also pulls away my mind. It's amazing. Not only I think about what I like, but I also think about what I dislike. Because I am concerned about that also. So what is vairagya? Vairagya means a state of mind which is free from both raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. Now coming to Vedanta. When do I have attachment for something? When I look upon that object or that person as a source of my happiness or security. When somebody or something becomes a source of happiness or security, then I cannot do without that. That is called attachment. So here we are invited to investigate whether does something have a capacity to give me happiness or security? Is happiness the quality of something? Is it possible for me to buy happiness? That I buy a car, I have bought happiness, can I say that? I buy a new pair of clothes, I bought happiness, can I say that? Can I say that any person or any object is consistently a source of happiness? See, we can say that sweetness is the nature of sugar because it is consistently sweet. In the morning also the sugar tastes sweet, afternoon also, evening also, today also, tomorrow also, it is sweet to me and to you also it tastes sweet. This is called consistency. Can we say about that, about any object that a person always gives me happiness. In the morning, afternoon, evening, today, tomorrow, you want a distance. Give me my space. There is nothing that can consistently give happiness. So we cannot say that a given thing means happiness. Swamiji, I love seashore. Whenever I go there, I feel happy. Our Swami used to say that this man once went to seashore with his girlfriend. And that is where she said that, whatever happened there, and they got separated. So now whenever he goes to seashore, he gets miserable. The idea is that there is no time, no place, no event, no person, no thing that can be called containing happiness. If I get happiness from something, it is because I superimpose happiness upon that. That I look upon something as a source of happiness is a projection of my mind. I project happiness upon something, and then when I get it, I think that I am happy, I enjoy it. But if this thing contains happiness, then it should consistently give me happiness. It should give happiness to everybody. What makes me happy can make you miserable. Like the other day, I was traveling in India in a bus, and the bus was essentially empty, so I occupied a seat near the window, and I was enjoying it. After a while, other passengers started entering. The bus was full, and somebody sat beside me also. In India, in every bus, there is a sign, it says, "No smoking prohibited." But the very conductor starts smoking anyway. So what about the passengers? So the fellow who was sitting beside me pulled out one bidi. Bidi is our indigenous cigarette, a crude cigarette. And started smoking that. And bringing out smokes and circles and rings and whatever. So while he's enjoying that cigarette or bidi, the smoke has the uncanny knack of coming to my nose, I'm sitting beside him. So he is enjoying the heavenly pleasure and I'm most miserable. The same thing can make somebody happy, it can make somebody else unhappy. So thus we analyze the nature of objects or things. We understand that happiness cannot be said to be the content or property of anything. Our mind projects or superimposes happiness and then wants it. But mind is very fickle, fanciful. Today it looks upon this as object of happiness. Tomorrow it discards it, now wants something else. So when we analyze our experiences, we can see that happiness is not out there. Then what is happiness? Happiness is the nature of the self. Happiness is the nature of consciousness. Only conscious thing can be a source of happiness, never an inner thing. Thus, there is only one that is conscious and that is the self. So Vedanta teaches us that self is the nature of happiness, nowhere else there is happiness. This analysis is called Viveka, this discrimination enables me to discover a detachment from the object, detachment or vairagya, detachment or dispassion from the objects and things and beings of the world. But Swamiji, even when I know that there is no happiness there, my mind keeps on running there. How about that? I know that there is no happiness in pizza, but my mind wants it. I know there is no happiness in TV because you told me, that happiness is only in the self, not elsewhere, it's only in TV that can, but my mind wants it. then what should I do? That's when comes shama, or controlling the mind. Vedanta says, make the mind see all the disadvantages, all the price that you pay, all disadvantages involved in enjoying any pleasure of the senses. Lord Krishna says, Yehi samsparshaya bhoga dukkhayo na evate. Here Arjuna, the pleasure coming from the sense object. So when my sense organ contacts a sense object and there is an experience of pleasure, understand that that pleasure is the source of all misery. Why? Because there is strain or exertion or pain involved in acquiring that object. Because nothing comes free, I must work in order to acquire something. So pain in acquiring. Pain when I am separated from an object, what comes also will go. Also, I know that the happiness that I get from that is only fleeting happiness, not a lasting happiness, because I get used to something and then I don't have any fascination for it anymore. I wanted a sports car. I had this deal with my dad that if I pass the high school examination with this, or SAT with this kind of score, I must get a sports car. Father said, okay. I will score. At the 18, I got the sport. The very day, my birthday, I get my license, and that's when I start driving. Sports car gives me a lot of excitement. How long? 3 months? 6 months? 1 year? With anything the mind gets used to. And then mind wants something else now. Okay, this is there. Now what next? So when I analyze the nature of experience of happiness, I realize that happiness that any object can give me is only temporary happiness, fleeting happiness, not a lasting happiness. So there is then that object ceases to give me happiness, then again that brings unhappiness. So Vedanta or Bhagavad Gita says, analyze the experience of pleasure. You'll find that the pain is involved at every stage. We only look at the happiness or pleasure that comes from something, but never consider the price that we pay for that. Also, these objects, you know what they do? When I enjoy them, then it creates in me it leaves an impression. So next time when I see that object, again I want to have it. So it creates raga in me. And then there is an obstacle, dvesha in me. So these pleasures create raga and dvesha. Thus when we analyze the nature of happiness that comes from the sense objects, then we realize that it is binding me, it is making me dependent, it is at the cost of my freedom. And thus, analyzing that, I can become detached from that seeking happiness from that object. So by viveka, by discrimination, we discover vairagya, dispassion. Freedom from raga and dvesha, attachment and aversion. Attachment is there because I project happiness upon an object. Aversion is there because I project unhappiness upon an object. Understand that happiness and unhappiness associated with an object both are projection, because if an object gives me happiness, it should give happiness to everybody. That's not so. It should give me happiness consistently. That is also not so. What gives me happiness today can give me unhappiness tomorrow. Thus, it becomes clear to me that happiness I see in something is a projection of the mind. Thus, making the mind discriminate in this way creates what we call vairagya or dispassion, a healthy dispassion. Vairagya is a healthy relationship. Very often, dispassion or vairagya is interpreted as an aversion. Swamiji, I am no more interested in anything. I have vairagya for everything. But not being interested is not vairagya. Vairagya gives me a freedom from raga and dvesha, and I have a healthy relationship with everything. Vairagya or dispassion doesn't mean that I avoid something, I turn away from something, that even if something is there, I don't enjoy it, I create a distance. That is not vairagya. You may want to do that, but that's not vairagya. Vairagya is that in presence of something also, I maintain the cheerful of my mind when it does not create any impulse in me, does not create in me the impulse of enjoying, etc. That's when I'm able to maintain a healthy relationship with everything. Not turning away, not either chasing something, not running away from something. Being able to appreciate things as they are. So vairagya means objectivity. Seeing things for what they are. That everything has a value. Everything has usefulness. That money, so vairagya doesn't mean that Swamiji, I vairagya, therefore I don't want any money. I think money is useless, is no good. That's also not right. Money also is required in our life because I need to live my life. So, God has created this world and the objects, they are all useful in my life. They are not sources of happiness, but they are definitely useful in living my life. So, recognizing things for what they are, what use they have in my life, I respect that object or appreciate the object for that value. But I realize that it cannot give me happiness. For happiness, I have to look at my own self. Happiness has to be discovered from within myself and not from without myself. But Swamiji, how do you say that pizza doesn't give me happiness? I enjoy pizza. I feel happy when I watch TV. How do you say there is no happiness there? Then the Vedantins say that, analyze what happens when you experience happiness. While watching TV, I enjoy it, alright. See what happens. That TV or any object for that matter of pleasure becomes merely an occasion or instrument of bringing my mind to myself. When my mind was craving for something, at that time it was looking out. When that craving is satisfied, momentarily now, mind has become free from craving. Therefore, it becomes inward looking and it enjoys the happiness which is within itself. That object of pleasure has become merely an instrument in bringing my mind to myself. And therefore, when I think that I'm enjoying TV, really I'm enjoying myself. When I say that I think that happiness is coming from some object, is really coming from myself, because the mind has become inward looking. It is possible, when it doesn't happen, then I don't become happy. It is not that every time I watch TV I become happy, every time I eat my favorite dish I become happy. No. If that object doesn't bring about an inwardness of mind, happiness doesn't come. So happiness invariably comes from the self. Even when I think that it is coming from outside, at that time also it is coming from my own self, because self is the only source of happiness. Therefore, for being happy, I should tap the happiness, invoke happiness from my own self. How do I do that? By Antahkarana Shuddhi, by purity of the mind. Purer the mind is, more happiness it reflects. Therefore, for being happy in my life, my effort should be purification of my mind. How do I do that? By cultivating these values. So purer the mind is, more cheerful the mind is. We have experience. It is not that you feel happy always by fulfilling a desire. Sometimes taking a walk in the morning, you are going to see the rising sun and you are just happy. Evening, sometimes you see the rising moon, which is pink in color, you just enjoy it. So there are many occasions when we are happy, not because a desire is fulfilled, it is just that my mind becomes clear at that moment. When the mind is clear of raga dvesha, attachment, aversion, when the mind becomes clear of its anxieties, of its fears, of its, when the mind becomes clear, like the cloud goes away and the sun of happiness becomes evident. The sun is shining, the clouds are only obstructing. Similarly, the self is like the sun of happiness. The cloud of fear, anxiety, attachment, aversion, all of this is only obstructing the manifestation of the happiness. And when the mind becomes clear of that, seeing the sunrise, all my anxiety goes away momentarily, I feel happy. Is anxiety, fears, all of these things which are the obstacles to experiencing happiness for myself. So today, I use the objects of the world to become free from that anxiety. The right thing is, I work for the purity of my mind. By many things that you discuss. By the attitude of becoming a contributor from being a consumer. By the deliberate effort of cultivating these values such as non-violence, truthfulness, humility. By prayers, by worship, by study, by studying Vedanta, by listening to scriptures. All of these contribute to the purification of mind. And all of us have that experience also. That as we have been studying and listening to Vedanta, as our understanding becomes clear, as many of those projections and delusions go away, many of the notions go away, we experience the clarity of our own mind. You experience a certain cheerfulness within your own self. So, you become a happier person. Not because you are more wealthy, not because you are something from outside, but because the mind has become that much clearer. The mind is like a pool of water. And as the dirt is removed from water, the water becomes transparent and you can see clearly the bottom. Similarly also, as the raga dveshas, the impurities are removed from the mind becomes clearer and the happiness which is at the bottom of the mind becomes evident to us. Thus, this clarity enables me to slowly become free from attachments and aversion for the objects. That's how vairagya, the freedom of attachment and aversion, is cultivated. As we said, vairagya brings about cheerfulness. Vairagya brings about freedom. Vairagya brings about a healthy relationship with everything. Vairagya brings about a comfort with everything. Indriyateshu vairagyam, the dispassion towards the objects of senses. Anahankara evacha, next one says anahankara, absence of egotism. Ahankara here means ego, means pride. That I am something. Ahankara, a sense of superiority with reference to other people. It's a complex. Superiority also is ahankara, inferiority also is ahankara. This complex is arahankara. Ahankara means sense of egoism which manifests in the form of various complexes. Superiority complex, inferiority complex. Anahankara, freedom from these complexes. I have superiority complex. I am something. I am better than others. There is no one like me. This kind of arrogance or pride arises in me because I take the credit for what I have. I possess some capabilities. I possess some abilities. I may possess some knowledge, wealth, name, fame, power, these things I possess. I take credit for them and I therefore become proud of them. So this pride or egotism arises because I take the ownership of them, I take the credit for them. We discussed it earlier also in Amanitvam. Anahankara is very similar. They will analyze the process of how I became a wealthy person, how I attained this position of power, how I attained this position in hierarchy, how I became a CEO, how I became a minister, etc. These are accomplishments. Enjoying accomplishments is one thing, but being proud of them is another thing. Enjoying is not a problem. Vedanta does not say don't enjoy life, enjoy. In fact, Vedanta teaches how to enjoy things. When the mind is free from pride or arrogance, that is when it is disposed to be able to appreciate what is. So pride or egoism really it has no place if we think about how we were able to accomplish something. That my accomplishment is because of the contribution of so many factors other than myself. But Swamiji, I'm a self-made man. Look, I created this whole industry, the whole business myself without help from anybody. I'm a self-made man. So when Swamiji asks, you are a self-made man, who made you? But Swamiji, by my ability, I did this. Who gave you that ability? Is my intelligence? Who gave you the intelligence? My effort? Who gave you even the inspiration for that effort? So we cannot actually lay claim upon anything. All of this is given to us. They are all gift. This body is a gift. How can I'm a handsome person, You can't be proud of that because you have not created the appearance of the body, it's given to you. If you're a tall person, fine, enjoy it, but it's given to you. You're fair, given to you. Good looking, given to you. Enjoy good looks without being proud. Recognizing that, be humble, have a sense of gratitude. I'm really gratified that I'm fortunate enough to possess this beautiful body, this strong body. Or I'm gratified that because I possess a sharp intellect, I have good memory power, I have good intellect, nice. But recognize that these are all given to you. You have not created them, it is given to you. So everybody is given something. In the world, everybody is given something. We need not feel superior, we need not feel inferior also. This superiority and inferiority, these complexes are only unique to human beings. Our Swamiji points out that look, these animals are free from all these complexes. There is a cow with a shapely horn, another cow with a broken horn. The cow with the broken horn doesn't feel that I'm inferior to other cow with shapely horn. There's a cow that gives 5 liters of milk. Another cow gives only half a liter of milk, but that thing doesn't feel that I'm inferior in any way. They are free from these comparisons, free from complexes. We are not suggesting that we go back to become a cow, but idea is this comparison and complexes are only unique to human being, and they are a great source of suffering. Every complex is a source of suffering. Even to say that I am a father is also a complex. I am mother also is a complex. So Swami described, this man says I am father. The moment he says I am father, he becomes, immediately he remembers his son. An 18-year-old son who is a school dropout, who rides a bicycle. Now he rides a motorbike from which he has removed the silencer so that his presence he announces wherever he goes. He wears a shirt, the buttons are open, so that you can see the chain that his mother has given to him. So when the father thinks of the son, he has blood pressure, So father means problem. Mother means problem. Mother-in-law, problem. Daughter-in-law, problem. Everything is a problem. Moment this is called a complex. This is called ahankara. I am so and so. Every complex is a source of problem. Each complex arises from identification with one or the other aspect of my personality. Identification with body brings about certain complexes. Our Swami says, look, this body, every part of the body brings about complexes, beginning from head to the toe. You have hair or you don't have hair. You have more hair, not enough hair. Head is a complex. Nose is a problem. The lips are a problem. Ears are a problem. Stomach is a problem. Height is a problem. Width is a problem. Weight is a problem. Everything is a problem. Because of judging myself based on this body. What is ahankara? Judging myself based on my personality. Judging myself based on my body. Judging myself based on my mind. Judging myself based on my intellect. Of course, because of ignorance we do that. We habitually do that. Anahankara, recognizing this habit, that I entertain variety of complexes or notions about myself because of identification with this body-mind complex. Who am I? Really, I am the one who is the witness. As Adi Shankaracharya says, Mano buddhi ahankara chittanaham nacha shrotra jihve nacha ghrananetre. This mind I am not, the thoughts I am not, the ego I am not, the organs of perception I am not, the organs of action I am not. Who am I? Chidananda Rupaha Shivoham. Shiva. I am the witness, I am the consciousness. Oh, that is ultimate solution. But even our day-to-day solution is that whenever the mind feels arrogance or pride, we can remind the mind, hey mind, why are you feeling proud? Proud of what? Of your looks? Well, that's given to you. Proud of your wealth? That is given to you. Whatever you possess is all given to you. Be thankful, have a sense of gratitude, but this pride has no place at all in a thinking person's mind. So anahankara, freedom from ahankara, freedom from sense of egoism. As we discussed just now, egoism is freedom from various complexes, freedom from judging myself based on my possessions, judging myself based on my body, mind, intellect, judging myself based on what I am not, by creating a distance with them, by reminding myself of how all achievements and accomplishments are a gift to me. I've enjoyed that gift, but there is no sense in being proud of them. Anahankarevacha janmam, second line, janm mrityu chara vyadi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Anudarshanam, see the translation, seeing clearly. Janma, mrityu, jara, vyadi, dukkha, dosha, anudarshanam. seeing clearly the evils of pain in birth, death, old age and disease. This is a very interesting value. Here, Lord Krishna says that always remain aware of all the pain that you have in your life. Understand that life is very painful. There is pain at every stage in life. Janma, birth is painful to the one who is born and to mother also. Death, of course, is painful. So, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, old age is painful. I can't remember as I Swamiji now, no, the memory doesn't work. What did you say? The hearing. Who is standing there? The sight becomes weak, the hearing becomes weak, the memory becomes weak, the body becomes weak. Sitting, problem, sitting, standing is a problem. Standing, sitting is a problem. Walking is a problem. Climbing is a problem. This is the old age is coming. It will come. It's painful. Janma, Mrityu, Vyadhi, disease is painful. You might say, Swamiji, I'm young now, I don't worry about the old age, etc. Then disease is there. Fever is there, cold is there, cough is there, infection is there, virus is there, all kinds of things are there. Not only that, but lots of emotional pains are there. These are all physical pains, that's okay. But emotional pains, lots of stresses are there. There are appointments and disappointments. There is success and failure. There is gain and loss. There is honor and dishonor. There is censure and praise. All of them are painful. So coming to think of it, human life is really painful. They say that human being is the most unhappy creature. So Lord Krishna says, dwell upon this pain that is involved at every stage in life. For what? You are creating fear in me? You want to scare me away? You want to take away the joy of living? Lord says, no. So that you become detached from this body, then at least you realize that there is no point in taking another birth. Because birth means identification with the body, with all its complexes, with all its pain and suffering. And therefore, a determination that I want to become free from this suffering. I do not want a next birth. I want to become free from this process of birth and death. Thus, this helps us create vairagya. It is passion. Not to become fearful, not to become disinterested, not to become disillusioned. It's just to remain aware so that I use my time properly. Lord Krishna says, Anityam sukham lokam imam prapya bhajasvamam. Here Arjuna, worship me. This lokam, this body is anityam. It is impermanent. Asukham. In life there is a lot of pain. And therefore, do not waste your time. Lord Krishna, the value here is that do not waste your time. Utilize your time properly. Be clear about what the objective is. If moksha is the objective, be clear. If knowledge is the objective, be clear. And use whatever time you have. Use it properly, wisely. Do not waste your time. Do not squander the time. Time is very valuable and do not squander it. As Upanishad says, Yachet avedit atha satyamasti, nachet yavedit bhati vinashtihi. When you have this human body, if you gain this knowledge, then your life has been worthwhile, worth it. If you don't, then life has been wasted. Therefore, this is meant to make us aware or awareful that we should use whatever time we have wisely, usefully, and not squander it, not waste it in useless pursuits. So, there are many pursuits that we have which are not of no use at all. And then we have the priorities must be very clear. Our time and energy also must be utilized in pursuit of the goal that we have selected. And for that, this value is dwelling upon the pain from the individual, the pain from the environment, the pain from the divine sources, that life has all this pain. Therefore, use your time, become detached, do not get overly attached to these things, so that you can devote yourself to the pursuit of your goal. So thus, Lord Krishna in these 5 verses prescribes these various values, most important of which we have discussed. And we have, our time is over, and so we will stop here. There is a book by Puja Swamiji called The Value of Values. That book discusses all these 20 values, by the way. And therefore, continue your study. Dwell upon this. This is very important. Understand, discovering a value for the values. A value becomes a value to me when its value is valuable. So when I realize that amanitvam, humility, is valuable to me, adambitvam, non-pretentiousness, is valuable to me, ahimsa, non-violence, is valuable to me, then alone I will be able to practice those values. So what is important is to assimilate the values. The value for money is assimilated. Value for power is assimilated. The value for non-violence may not be assimilated. Value for truthfulness may not be assimilated. When there is a conflict between an assimilated value and unassimilated value, the assimilated value always wins. And therefore the value for the worldly things always wins. And the value for the inner growth very often loses. Therefore, discover the value of these values as to what we stand to gain by practicing values and what we stand to lose by violating the values. The gain is subtle, may not be very evident, but gain is subtle in terms of the purity of my mind, in terms of the inner tranquility, in terms of my improved self-esteem, in terms of my self-resolve, the inner strength. As you practice the value, you gain an inner strength, which is extremely valuable. And so, these values are very important, very valuable. We work and discover the value, assimilate them, and consciously put them into practice. For that, the book will be also very helpful to you. Okay, with that, we conclude our discussions here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.